Welcome to my tutorial for Alex Kidd in Shinobi World for the Sega Master System. This is a solid game. It's not too difficult, it's mostly pretty easy. It took me about an hour and 37 minutes, and I ended up... I think I only died once, if I remember right. So it was a 1 credit run. But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty easy. The last boss is a little tricky. But there's a decent strategy for him. If you collect hearts... Also, if you climb up these poles, you can do a fireball type of move like that. And the way you do it is you press up to climb up the poles. They're only in this first stage, though, so you're not going to see these poles again. But you will be able to use the fireball in other areas. There's other poles, but they're horizontal poles, so you don't have to climb up them. But for these, you climb up them by pressing up on the pole, and then you hold down the sword button, which I believe is the second button. And you'll start spinning around, and you got to hold it long enough so that you release into a fireball. If you don't hold it long enough, you'll just fall or it won't work. But it's a useful way to get up to some areas and get treasure chests on some of those high areas, or hit some of the enemies that are up higher. But you really only use it in that first level as a means of attack. There's no other area that I can think of where you actually use it to attack enemies except for the first stage. And it's optional, so you really don't need it, but it's a good way to get the spear weapon. I believe you can get it in that first area. I don't know if I got it in this video, but one of the chests, I believe, has it. And you can also get hearts. By opening up the chest, a lot of times you get hearts, and what the hearts do is they add to your life meter in the upper left corner. You see those arrows right there. Each arrow is a hit that you can take. It's kind of like an upside down triangle, each one. And if you get a heart, you'll get an extra hit that you can take. See, now I can take 5 hits, and if I get another one, it'll go up to 6. It maxes out at 6. And then every heart you collect after 6, so if you have full life and you collect the heart, it'll be a 1-up instead, which is much better. But I never really got... I don't know if I even got any 1-ups that way in this playthrough. Because usually I didn't have full health when I got a treasure chest. Of course, if you watch an edited long play, they're usually edited. World at Long Plays usually has edited videos where they don't have any deaths. And of course, in those videos, they'll have a shit ton of extra lives because they will load state. If they do lose a life, they'll basically rewind and redo that section. So it's kind of like a tool assisted run usually. So yeah, this wall jumping is a little tricky to do. In my case, I made it real easy by setting the jump button to rapid fire, and then I just kind of alternated between left and right on the D-pad, and that made it real easy to get up there. If you're doing it manually, it is a little tricky. I think you have to jump at the wall, hit the button, and then when you hit the other wall, hit the button again and hit the opposite direction, and just repeat that. But I found it to be kind of irritating to do. It was tricky. You don't really need to go up there, but I guess this is where you get the spear I was talking about. I guess it wasn't in that first area. I was probably thinking about this area. The spear makes this boss very easy, as you can see. Just shoot him, and then just duck and shoot when he becomes small. It's kind of a reference to Super Mario Brothers with the mustached boss, and then he shrinks down. But for his second form, all you got to do is duck and shoot. You can't hit him while standing. And that applies to either if you're using the sword or the spears. You won't be able to hit him while standing. If you don't have the spears, then you just go under his fireball and hit him. And then when he becomes small, you crouch down and just start stabbing him and try to take him out fast when he's small. Very easy either way you end up fighting him. You'll actually see me fight him in the other way in the last level because they repeat the bosses again. It's a little boss gauntlet. The water here won't drown you, so that's why I jump around. Sometimes I'm checking to see if there's a bonus area under the water, but I don't think there's any in this level. There's a lot of hidden bonus areas. But yeah, just as long as you take your time and just take out the enemies, a lot of these stages are very, very easy. You have 1 continue, and you get 3 lives to start with on each continue. So you have like 6 lives the game gives you, basically. The continue will start you back at the beginning of the entire world, basically. So if you're in the second section or third section, you'll go back to the first section. But if you just lose a life, there's usually checkpoints within the levels. It's pretty generous with that. So here you're going to use the fireball to get up in this bonus area here. You can get these chests. And if your health is, maxed out, you'll probably get a free life from these chests, at least one, and a spear. So it's a decent little pickup. But once you know this game, there's not much of a reason to die more than a few times. I mean, I only ended up dying once. Now, previous to my failed attempt before that, I was playing pretty sloppy. But I only practiced through the game one time with save and load states to get a feel for the layout of the game. So I didn't practice it heavily. But like I said, all in all, even with the final 18-minute attempt, it only took like an hour and 37 minutes. So it was a very easy game for this type of game. I don't know how to get that treasure chest up on that top left area. Never figured it out. You can go in that door up at the top, and it'll take you up to the top floor of that boat that we were just underneath. But from there, I don't know how to get up unless you can just take damage and get a damage boost to get up there. Get like knocked up there. I don't know if maybe that's the way you're supposed to do it, but that's weird. I've never seen games really require you to do damage boosts, so I don't know how else to get up there. If I was going to try to get up there, I'd probably try to get hit at the right moment and get knocked up there, but it's probably just a heart or some bullshit anyway. Parts like this, it seems like you just have to take the hit. It's very slow to get off the ladders, and the ninja pretty much tracks onto you immediately as soon as you get off. So I think sometimes you got to take a hit. Now, in this water part, I found you can skim along the top of the water mostly. I mean, if you want, you can get that chest. It's probably just a heart. I don't think it's anything that good. It's better to skim because the sharks will reduce your health very quickly. And the sharks don't die when you hit them. They just get knocked back. So what I like to do is kind of wall jump and then kind of come back to the right and jump over those things. You kind of just like, if you keep grinding up against that wall, you'll wall jump off of it, and then you can kind of jump to the right again and get over it. You may have to come down here and take out this guy because there's boxes in your way, but you can skip most of this by staying up at the top. Come down here and get some chests. The only tricky part is this thing that shoots the 3 bullets out. I usually take at least one hit from that. This part was kind of sloppy, but you should have enough health to kind of get through there, but it is kind of a tricky part. I never did it that well, but there's a bonus area here if you jump up to the right. You get like a little heart over here, so you get some health back. And as usual, if you have full health, you'll get a 1-up from that, but like I said, I never really had full health when I got to the chests. I don't know how you break these blocks. It's probably something really basic that I'm missing. Maybe if you have the POW sword upgrade that makes your sword more powerful, and it swings in a wider arc, I think that might help. I'm not sure. For this part, you just have to destroy all the helicopters, and you beat the boss. It shows how many helicopters are remaining for you to destroy at the very top. When you destroy one, they go away, so try your best to manage these. I usually like to get in the middle and try to take them all on, even though it sometimes it can be tough to get them all. You can also try to stay all the way on the left corner and do it, but I found that sometimes I got hit doing that too. So even though it is safer technically, because enemies can't come from the left if you're all the way on the left edge of the screen, but I still took damage when I did that, so you can try that. If you go down here, you'll get a 1-up. This left chest is always a 1-up every time, so you can keep getting that. And even if you die, you can get it again, so it doesn't matter if you fuck up. And then if you ride the tornado fast enough up here, you can get that heart. So it's good to get both if you can. The controls can be very finicky at times. There's times when jumping does not even work. So, I would. That's why. I mean, that's one thing that makes this game worse than it could have been, because the controls can be sluggish. I couldn't always rely on my character jumping. Sometimes he would fall in pits instead of jumping, or it would eat the input completely, even during like platforming or boss fights. So that has gotten me killed before. I think this was the only time I died in the entire game. I mean, in my successful run. But yeah, see, I got a checkpoint, so it's pretty forgiving. So kill that guy first after he fires his bullet, then press down and strike on top of the treasure chest to get it. Don't try to go in the spikes and hit it. Just press down and slice on the chest and you'll break it. You obviously don't want to jump into the spikes like I did. I got kind of sloppy here. Like I said, I found the controls to be pretty sloppy at times. It's not the most responsive game. I mean, it's easy enough, but it's still irritating when games have sloppy controls. So for this part, first go in this wall over here. There's a little secret passage. I'm sure there's some secret passages I missed. These are just the ones that I found. I saw some of this in a video, but I didn't memorize the video that I watched. So yeah, if you go up there and break those two chests, I think you get a health and maybe a spear or something like that. Just go through those drops after they hit the ground, obviously. Now, riding these carts is trickier than it looks. It's not the controls you would expect. You have to keep jumping with it. Your character will not stay on it. If you stand on it, it'll just slide underneath your feet. It's very odd. It's not the way that would behave in a normal modern, or not a modern, not so much a modern game, but, you know, like your usual platforming like Donkey Kong or something, or something, Donkey Kong Country, Mario Brothers. You know, usually when something's underneath your feet, you ride with the platform. But in this part, it just slides underneath your feet. It's very strange. So make sure you jump with it and keep jumping with it. This part's very simple. You just fall to the right, you know, hold right as you're falling, and try to jump on those cement things when they're up. Because if you hit the lava, you'll just take some damage. You won't automatically die. But yeah, very easy to time. I did it a little sloppy, but it is very easy. Now this boss is very easy. You just let him shoot his shit out, and as he's jumping back down on you, you want to hit him while he's in midair, if you can. I should have practiced this guy more, but he's really not that hard. I mean, on this attempt, I did do it really sloppy. I think I had a better attempt in the final boss gauntlet when you have to fight him again. But that's the basic idea. Let him shoot all his shit out, and then as he's jumping, you know, when he's coming back down from his jump, you want him to land on your sword. That's when his weakness is open. Otherwise, he won't take any damage. It's one of those bosses, you know, that only takes damage when you're supposed to hit it. So yeah, for this part, just jump in the water as soon as you get, as soon as you get over all this shit. Jump down here. And jump on the treasure chest and down slice it. You don't want to go in between the chest and the cannon dispenser, because you'll just get hit, you'll just take damage. That's it. I think this is an optional passage, obviously, but it may be easier than taking the upper passage. I'm not even sure, because I took this passage every time. I never tried the other passage. But I assume this was like a bonus area because it has a chest in it. I don't know how to fight those guys. I always just take the hit. It's sloppy, but that's always what I ended up doing when I got there. I'm sure there's a way to deal with them without taking damage. So as you're shooting up here, when you get to the peak of the jump up there, make sure you're holding right. Or just hold right as you're launching up, and you'll automatically go to that upper area and get that chest. This chest I don't know how to get. This is another one I don't know how to get. It looks like you probably have to get it from underneath it. If I had to guess, when I go in that right door, I think there's a bottom area that you may be able to go to. I just didn't want to try it. See down there? I thought that might be death, though, so I wasn't going to jump down to the left. So for this part, jump on these things and jump off immediately, and you may need to slice occasionally to take out the crows. If you do get hit by the crows, just make sure you're still holding right so you don't go off, you get knocked back into the pit. If you're holding right, you'll at least correct your... when you get hit, you'll correct yourself and maybe be able to land back on the platform again instead of falling in the pit. There's some invisible platforms here that you can see me using to get these items, so make sure you get those. And when you get the tornado, make sure you go in this little underground area. You don't have to use the tornado to get in there. You can drop down and use those invisible platforms you saw me using. So watch the video and check where those platforms are if you're not sure. You can get those items easily. For this part, what I like to do is just I wait for the spikes to retract back in and then immediately start climbing up. Usually I never get hit doing that. Then I wait for the spikes to come out again and I just drop straight down. And usually doing that, I take no damage from the spikes on that part by doing it that way. You know, I didn't really look to try to time it perfectly. I just did it like that, and that always worked for me. So, as soon as they retract, start climbing up. And then wait for them to retract again, and then drop straight down. That's it. For this guy, you just go under his fireballs. He's the same as the first boss we fought, but you saw I fought him the full way without a ranged weapon that time. It's very easy. Just go under his fireballs. You'll get some health back here. Just let these things crush down. Lure them to crush down. And just wait for them to go up a decent amount and then do a little hop. Just tap the jump button and hold right and you'll get up there. Same thing for this guy. You know, as he's jumping down, you want him to come down into your sword. I may have done it better this time. Didn't do it great. I should have practiced this guy more to be more consistent. But see, it's easy enough. Now, when you go in here, you're going to get some platforming. The only hard thing about this is not that it's hard. It's that the reason I got hit there is because my jump button did not register a few times. So it ate my jump input, meaning I just stood there and took the hits. I think that happened to me several times. That's why I was getting hit. It may have happened to me like 2 or 3 times on that part. Because normally I don't take any damage, but it does eat your inputs in this part. It's like maybe there must be slowdown or something going on. Some technical issue. So just be aware of that. But the platforms telegraph where they're going to appear next. So you just, while you're standing on there, you wait to see where the platform's going to appear. Now for this boss, he's a little tricky. You want to time it so that as soon as that aura goes away, you get your slice in. And it takes some practice with the timing. So you use save and load states to practice the timing on this. It is a little tricky. That's the hardest part of the fight. Now for this part, I like to go all the way to this corner and stab just as he gets into my sword range. Crouch and stab just as he gets into my sword range. Do that a few times, about 4 times, and now he'll be on his final form. For this, you only have to hit the blue guy. You can get rid of the white ones if they're in your way, but you only have to hit the blue one. And when you hit them 4 times, you win. So if you need to clear out some of those guys, do that. But mainly just wait for the blue guy to descend to where your sword is. Let him come down into your sword. I find that to be the easiest way to do it. But yeah, overall, not really a difficult game. But, you know, it can be a little tricky. The final boss is tricky if you don't know what to do. I was able to figure it out on some decent strategies. The first form is still kind of tricky. If your timing isn't just right, it doesn't work and you end up taking damage. And when I did try to get to the boss to practice it, I was using save and load states to get there, and I only had 1 piece of health, so I could only practice the boss with only being able to, not being able to get hit at all. I had to do it without any damage. So I did each form without damage in practice. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.